You see, when you all share your experiences, I contemplate and reflect. And after that, I check that what should be the next principle according to the text. But then I have to combine what experiences you all share, and the text, the next principle. And when I see that there is something different, then I have to clarify. And that is how the every lesson is designed. So that is how the every lesson is designed. I have to, so that you continue evolving. So the books are not the live people. Even if you share the experiences, the books cannot give you that reference. So that is why we say the teacher is required. And that is how we evolve. On a particular day, when you share your experiences, there is something totally different. Sometimes the next verse is out of context. So I briefly made an acronym and I create for myself, and that is how. So behind every session, there is a lot of contemplation and reflection, totally devoted to you all. That is the role of a teacher in the Eastern wisdom. So I see also that the verse is literally explained, literally means this thing, but your experiences are different. So I have to modify it without changing the principle. I reflect on these principles and I say, okay, let me talk about this topic today. And that is how we all evolve together. So it happens in every session, whether I give a private lesson or whether I give a group lesson. That is the normal temperament or normal way to give the lesson. So you look like a woman who just told me that now I wanted to retire, but now I think that there is a semi retirement and I have to continue working, and it pissed me off. And I had I had no intention of applying the Social Security, and because of my craving, I applied. What should I do? So you see that even after 65 years of age, we do not have a kind of mental maturity. Physical maturity is already there. I cannot have control over the physical maturity, but I don't have the mental maturity. I don't have the emotional maturity in our life. And that problem continues since our childhood, because the society is not going to teach you what is emotional and mental maturity. And it is because of lack of this mental and the emotional maturity we fall into delusion in our relationship, in our personal and professional life. And that causes lot of challenges. And then I wrote an answer to her, and then she said, now I'm back on the journey. So you see, we teachers have to be very mindful in talking about these principles. Why? Because we cannot stop thinking. Now coming to the main topic, we cannot stop thinking. Thoughts continues to come into the mind. So you have to find the delusion in these thought process. When we are attached, I'm a non-seeker, and the delusion comes. So mind constantly swings from the delusion to the dispassion. So it's okay. In the beginning, it is okay until you are fully settled with a mental maturity. And then that is the right moment. You are the highest level of a seeker. And then, verse by verse, we learn the teachings and we reach to the highest state. But otherwise, as far as until we go down and go up, that is a normal process. So when we are obsessed or infatuated, or there is a sense of craving, even by a single thought, I am a non seeker. When we feel we are lonely, we are a non seeker. When we have a kind of a lust, we are a non seeker. Think, when we find the wisdom will lead me to happiness, I am a seeker. So any craving comes, this thought has come, let me contemplate and reflect. Is it really required or not? And you make a discernment, and then you say, no, it is not required. And when you say it is not required, the mind becomes clear. And if the mind becomes clear, you are a seeker. So the self-examination is required. When our mind sends conflicting signals about situation, people, relationship, obviously, I fall down into being a non-seeker. I have to work on my mind. There is a trust deficit with relation to these principles. When we feel rejected, all distracted, the moment I have a feeling of rejection, distraction, it is also a part of the delusion. So instantly your intellect should, no one can reject you except the existence. When the existence has to take you, okay, then it is rejected. This name in the form is rejected. We need not to even think about people who reject it. When we are worried about oneself or others, we have to guard ourselves. We have to find ourselves that how to discern that. Is the worry due to the attachment, due to the mental or the emotional immaturity? It may be relating to your kids and children or relations, or no, I have to be very mindful in those cases also. So, any short of the confusion and the conflict, a sense of unease, we have to work now. Why I started this topic, because now we are evolving further, we are moving into the next step in this direction. Hammer the delusion, that is what initially the topic is. And the delusion is caused by the ignorance. So that I named this series again, from ignorance to wisdom. Why ignorance? Because of the unconscious living. Unexamined life, it creates a patterns in the mind that is responsible for emotional immaturity, mental immaturity, intellectual paralysis. Because I'm not able to think, my mind is obsessed thinking in one direction. Okay, if you do like this, then enough is enough. We are done with. Let us divorce. Intellectual paralysis. See, this is this is how the wheels of the delusion uh, takes over our mind. And that is why never either you remember first the delusion or you remember the seven factors. So that is why the master says the first step is the foolishness, unexamined life, living on the autopilot. So just think of it. The mind is now restless. It is acting out of the foolishness. Obviously, the second recognition is the mind is scattered constantly. It is distracted. It is disjointed. And now the third factor comes, it causes an attachment to one of the thought. And then that thought creates an imagined person, imagined situation. It is not a real life situation, imagined situation. Attachment is an imagined entity. It does not exist. Really, it does not exist. But I'm very much attached to a lot of people. Really? Can you tell me that are your eyes attached to anything? The eyes flicker. It constantly becomes aware of the lot of objects. Your ears, sense organs, the smell. Nose is very sensitive. It picks up one smell, then second smell, the third smell. Same thing with the eyes, same thing with the sense organ, and same thing applies to the mind. So, do you see the attachment is imagined? Yes. Why it is imagined? Because I live my unexamined life, I do not examine, and the mind is scattering. Now you see, very subtle understanding is this. So even if you don't believe, just watch your own mind, and you will see it is imagined attachment. And because of these three factors, it results into an emotional immaturity, or you can say emotional dependence. What is emotional dependence? I have a false notion. I have a false notion about a situation, about the people, about the things around. Now, on the other side, you constantly also maintain your awareness that now you have examined your life. Now your mind is not scattered. Now there is no attachment. Now that emotional immaturity is not there. So what happens on the other side of your intellect and the mind? That seems empty and relaxed and calm. So in cases of the delusion, that is constantly flickering and moving. Now what happens in the state of the calmness on the right hand side and in the state of the delusion on other side? So here is the real self and here is the false side. And that is why the fifth factor is my false notion and my ego takes over. Ego means that reflected consciousness. Ego does not mean it is against, we we don't talk of ego in sense of specific attributes. We say that ego is a false I reflected in the mind pertaining to the me and mind. So now you see that now I have two entities, and this entity is overpowered by the delusion. That is the our fifth factor is the false I. In the sixth one, it results into intellectual paralysis. Why? What is intellectual paralysis? I'm not able to think in it. What is right and good? Think in that way. What is right and good? No, you are crazy. Is it right and good? No, I should not say it. Not at all. Why? Because it is polluting my mind by saying that you are crazy. So you become so much sensitive to these thought process, feelings, and emotions. So now you are really sensitive. Normally people say, I'm very sensitive, touch me not. The people say anything and they get worried, they start becoming angry. That is not sense. That is your emotional dependence. That has nothing to do with being sensitive. I know modern psychology defines in a different way. We define totally in a different way. Don't worry. Don't think about it. Any situation, any person, any relationship, any time that causes the worry, you become sensitive in a negative way. So being sensitive means you are more receptive. You put the things, the outer situation into an order. That is the meaning of you are sensitive here in Eastern wisdom. So that is against the intellectual paralysis. So once we are intellectually paralyzed, the mind is constantly keeps on thinking and thinking and thinking unnecessarily. That is our seventh factor. So one delusion, so we have understood by the sevenfold symptoms. Constantly, you are living your life consciously now. The moment you wake up in the morning until you retire to the bed. Is there is a delusion or dispassion is there. Delusion is there or dispassion is there. Delusion is there or dispassion is. I can bet you that you will have a smile all the time on your face. Oh, I have taken over the delusion. It is the delusion that gives you a very big face with people, with relations. So I have simultaneously, I talked about that I have to challenge these false assumptions. All the seven factors are false assumptions. You can start with intellectual paralysis, you can start with foolishness, unexamined life. So I have to challenge these false assumptions and the wrong notion. How? I have to challenge by thinking. By thinking. By thinking in line with these principles of Eastern wisdom. And you will see the mind calms down and it relaxes easily. You can get rid of, instantly you can get rid of it. If you get rid of this delusion instantly, obviously you are the highest level of a seeker. So keep on working on this. And then what? The most famous principle coming from the same text, Satasangatve Nisasangatvam. By consistent listening and learning, your mind, that is going down, it rises up. That is what the detachment is. So emotional immaturity is gone. By consistent listening and learning from a different perspective helps you to awaken to the state of dispassion. Why I've been craving for this? There is nothing into it. The mind recognizes it, and you settle down into the state of the calmness. So that is our second remedy. First remedy, that I have to challenge false assumption. No one can be the proxy, including me, unless you choose to live in dispassion, not in delusion. Nothing can be taught from outside. The way you are teaching us. Now, I'm not teaching you, I'm facilitating. Be very clear. We are 100% clear. Teachers in the Eastern wisdom, we are facilitating, we are putting in your mind these principles so that you can work on those principles. That's why we teachers are always free. We don't overburden ourselves. That why you are not changing. Why you are not changing? You are responsible. I will stop attending your session. Very good. That is another part of the delusion. So we are facilitating. So that is why the second step is a facilitation. That consistent listening and learning, first detachment, second is the dispassion, third is the steadiness of the mind. That steadiness is not the focus. It's a natural steadiness because those seven factors are reduced, are minimized. Don't think that it is just, you have uh, concentration. In modern psychology, we say oscillation of attention and concentration. No, it has nothing to do with that. There is a natural sense of steadiness. You live in awareness from moment to moment, from incident to incident, from one action to the other action. It comes naturally. And then what happens? It helps you to remove ignorance and you start moving into the wisdom. And after that, we have a glimpse of the real self. Now, before that, we always thought that it is the false I, which is the real I. Now we know that real I is totally different. So I summarize this in the fifth remedial step that ultimately all these accounts for you are working on the mind. Instead, the mind is working on you. Mind is working on you, delusion. You are working on the mind, dispassion. You have hammered the delusion. So you have to contemplate and reflect. Is the mind working on me or my I am? So now what happens then? Then you have a realization. What is that realization? Now, this mind is living in wisdom. Mind is living in the knowledge. What it means? Knowledge of the real self. Emotional dependence is gone. Can you think that once the emotional dependence is gone, what is left? Mind is totally calm and relaxed in every situation, in every incident. Think. I'm not saying believe. I've been always saying our reason with the cause and effect. That is the first step of the realization. Second step of the realization, I discussed in detail about how the seven factors of the body. Body identification is a great problem in the journey of the self-discovery. Now, I explained it by seven factors. First, I am the body, and then I am the husband, wife, son, and the daughter. That is the secondary self. First is the real self at the center. Then, when I am the body, it is the false self. And after the false self, I give a nomenclature to this body that I'm a husband, wife, etc., etc. So that becomes the secondary self. Now, this false self and the secondary self creates an intense attachment to the body, results into emotional immaturity, results into ego, results into all those seven factors. Understand in that way, in that frame. So, yeah. Yes, I got stressed. Why I got stressed? Because he said that I am crazy. Whom he said, did he say crazy to your body or to you? Think, think, think. Did he appreciate your body or you? Because he saw you. So, did he see your real self or did he see your body? You see, point of awareness. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Body is always crazy. You said me, thank you. You are very good. So you don't allow the mind to give an interpretation of the word crazy. Your interpretation causes the emotional immaturity and emotional dependence. Are you seeing? You read the word crazy in the book. Anything happens to you? That is very subtle delusion. I have to get rid of it. My intellect is paralyzed. I cannot think. Why? How dare you say that I am crazy? So you are referring to the body. You're not referring to the to yourself. That instant awareness and the realization three, that we realize the outer change is not required until inner change. So that points to the hypocrisy. Third and the fourth point, outer change is not required. I have to bring the inner changes. Where you get angry, where you feel you are abused, where you feel you are hurt, it is inside. Nothing at the level of the body. But because of the identification of the body, my mind creates the false self and the secondary self, and then it gives the wrong interpretation. And after the wrong interpretation, then the journey of the delusion continues. It reaches to a point when we say, oh my goodness, this world is enemy number one. And you are a friendly to everyone. Huh? World is enemy number one, and you are friendly to everyone. Not possible. And the fourth realization, that I recognize the hypocrisy in my daily life. Hypocrisy simply means that false self, real self, false self, real self. Conflict is there. False self, real self, secondary self. There is a constant conflict. Secondary self wants to exercise its authority. This is what I am. And when it says this is what I am, other people do not accept it, and then we have a lot of challenges in our life. Bhaj Govindam, Govindam bhaj mudhamate sannahites kale bhaj govindam bhaj govindam. Think of this. We have to contemplate, sit down. So you see the realization, the first realization, kate kanta dhanagat chinta. Yesterday, he was attending the lesson and then he said, I have a lot of challenges in my business. How can I meet the challenges in my business with a deluded mind? Tell me. Business is outside. Can I maintain the state of the calmness first and steadiness first? And from that state of the calmness, let me reflect on the business. And he said, that makes a sense. I said, that only makes a sense. The rest are nonsense. That I'm worried about my business. In any situation, in any condition. This is what the teacher is. So I have not literally translated because this part of the word have a different understanding. Kate kanta dhanagat chinta vatul kimtav nasti niyanta. Why worry about the husband or a wife or a children or a wealth? I'm literally translating. Oh, crazy one, is there not for you the one who ordains, one who lives inside? And then the master says, in the three words, in all the entire word, it is only the real self where you can find the peace and happiness. There is no peace and happiness outside. So I translated in a different way. The mind has to live in wisdom. Realization, second factor, how to seven factors of the body makes us crazy. I made it clear how to changes is not required. Let it come from within. Recognize the hypocrisy. Huh? Recognize the hypocrisy, This master has seen because he lived the life of a monk and he realized that many other fake monks were living and trying to convince the society that they have reached to a state of realization. So he is talking about the hypocrisy in our journey of the Eastern wisdom. But we have to recognize if we are also living in that state of the hypocrisy. That is why he said, some of the monks in India, you can see if you go to those different Himalayan terrain, you will see that they have a fire burning in the front, fire burning at the back, and they are taking a round on the fire. They are chanting, and their chanting attracts you. They say, "Oh, he may have some power." So he's talking about that kind of a hypocrisy. I have met many monks who, should I say it? I can say that, you all are adults. So they acquire the ability to squeeze, to suck the milk through their penis, and they hold it. And then they show the miracles. No, you see that milk is coming. It has nothing to do with the spirituality. In my journey, I met more than 200 masters. So that kind of a hypocrisy does not, we have to get rid of it. If you don't get rid of it, it is going to create a lot of challenges in your life. Then obviously, people get attracted to these things and you fall back into another level of the delusion. Eastern wisdom is very clear. It has a set path. Remove the delusion. You become the highest level of the seeker. Then you listen to the main principles and you reach to that highest state. And then what happens after that? What happens after that? I have reached to the highest state. Okay, then what happens? Now, before the realization, I interact with the entire world with the false I. After the realization, my interaction is based on the real self. That is the only simple difference. Very little difference. But that little difference is the big difference because you continuously live into that state of the calmness and peace and the joy. I'll explain it in a different way in our next session. Close your eyes. Eyes are closed, and we will also understand the fifth state of realization. In our next session, eyes are closed. Place, position, posture. Now you all are seekers. By saying simple three words, you, as a seeker, you should enter into that awareness. Place should be comfortable. Obviously, place should be easy. In the beginning, you can have the right temperature of the room, those external situations. And the position of the body. So you are mindful of the position of the body. You don't have any kind of a stress or unease or what I say, the body is not stretched undue at any point, and that depends on the posture. So what happens? Place, position, and the posture results into being comfortable, means sensation, comfort, and steadiness, means being carefree. Because now we are a seeker, so we know I don't leave any thought unexamined. That is another meaning of the carefree. And then instantly move the mind with auspiciousness. Sarve Sham Swastir Bhavatu. Sarve Sham Swastir Bhavatu. Sarve Sham Swastir Bhavatu. May there be happiness for all. So a recognition, it is again a cognitive ability, my friend. It is a matter of awareness. The entire Eastern wisdom is knowledge oriented, not blind belief oriented. At the deeper level, so there is a recognition that happiness is my essential nature, so it is the essential nature of everyone. Hence, I allow the deluded mind to settle. If my mind is thinking to settle a score with someone or to fight with someone or to say nasty things to someone, you say, no, peace is my, happiness is my, sarvesham shantir bhavatu, sarvesham shantir bhavatu, sarvesham shantir bhavatu. So, in the state of being comfortable and carefree, what you are introducing to the mind, a solution to the delusion. Peace is your essential nature. Why to worry? So, when the mind settles into this knowledge, peace is my intrinsic nature. All the seven factors of the delusion dissolves and drops instantly. And if it happens instantly, you can see the progress. Sarvesham Puranam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Puranam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Puranam Bhavatu. May there be completeness in all. My friends, you have to start thinking in a different way. In the beginning, I said a sense of incompleteness in the mind causes a lot of challenges, results into the delusion. Now, what I want to convey to you, see that I don't have the money. This is one thing. But I have a feeling of incompleteness because of not having the money in my mind. This is the second thing. So the mind should not live with the sense of incompleteness even if I don't have those resources. I believe you are getting it. That idea, that thought should never repeat, yes, I don't have it, so let me work on it. It should not get an emotional support. And then there is an emotional dependence. Then there is a worry. Then there is an anxiety. Then there is a hypocrisy. Understand, you have to, the more deeper you think and contemplate, you will recognize how the masters have created these principles. Sarvesham mangalam bhavatu. Sarvesham mangalam bhavatu. Sarvesham mangalam bhavatu. Auspiciousness, grace, and the existence is always there. Is it not there now? Is it because I'm teaching you? No. I'm just facilitating and making you aware that the grace and the blessing exist. You see, the teaching and facilitation are two different understanding. So that helps you to settle your mind. And we will continue with the breathing practice. But breathing, it is not more merely the breathing. It is much more than that. We continue to live into that higher state of self awareness by dropping Om Shanti inside the forehead. And at the same time, we are breathing, keeping the body still. So you see that at three levels we are working, at the physical level, at the mental level, and also at the spiritual level. So it is not only the breathing. So that is why I don't talk about the Hatha Yoga. So looking deep inside the forehead in the space and start dropping Om Shanti gently and start breathing quick and short breath through both the nostrils. Continue, my friend. Continue. We did last time, we did 9 minutes of the chest breathing. That was accomplishment. So continue breathing. So you find the breathing is harmonious. And when there is a harmony, you can easily drop Om Shanti deep inside the forehead. And you need not to worry about the steadiness of the body. It will be natural. That is what I wanted to convey and have been conveying differently. Continue breathing into the chest, Om Shanti, dropping inside the forehead, and aware of the steadiness. In fact, there is an awareness of breathing, there is an awareness of the mantra, there is an awareness of stillness in the body. If you can see that way, it is a progress. You don't feel, you don't identify as if you are breathing, you don't identify as if you are dropping Om Shanti. There, in that state we need to reach. But we'll be reaching, I'll be adding, modifying some of these steps. Now stop this, allow the breath to be normal, and keep on your awareness on the flow of the breath. You remember, I believe, The flow of the breath, if it is not equal, whichever has a less flow, just pay attention to that flow. And you will discover that now the steadiness is not an issue because the mind has withdrawn inside. And if you maintain the flow awareness on the flow of the breath, the mind tends to absorb within. So these are the tantric aspects. Like combine these to hasten the progress. Now looking inside the forehead again, dropping the Om Shanti, and now start the belly breathing, little longer breath. Find that it should be a longer breath because the lower lobes of the lungs are larger than the upper lobes. So that engages the belly into the belly movement. So you inhale, the belly goes out, you exhale, the belly goes in. So that is also your awareness of the belly movement, your awareness of the steadiness in the body, your awareness of the Om Shanti, your awareness of the breath. So when on one side you have awareness, on the other side you have these four pointed awareness of the body, of the breath, of the belly movement, of the Om Shanti. You're already in the state of what we say, dispassion. Long and longer breath, deeper breath. Let us see. And then what I said in the beginning, during every time, I say it every time. When your mind says, no, I cannot do it for a longer period, you endure it. Huh? I think perhaps some of you have said beautifully that I endured. And that idea, reaction of the mind pertaining to the breath dissolved. Another way that you inspire your mind to have a new experiences in the body. That is another way. So you recognize and accept the changes that is taking place, but do not leave breathing, do not leave Om Shanti, do not leave the steadiness of the body. Here, breathing into the belly, you're aware of the expansion and contraction of the belly, Om Shanti, and the steadiness in the body. And it is possible. When the delusion is there, it is not possible. No, no, but it has to do with the capacity and the strength of the lungs. No. When the tiger is chasing you, you don't start thinking about that. I don't have the capacity. Tiger, please. There is an inherent power of the consciousness that takes over the mind to do a certain thing to get out of the danger. Continue. Just want to give you a feel of what happens when we enter into an advanced journey. Continue breathing, endure the resistance, recognize and accept the changes, awareness of the stillness in the body, movement of the belly, breathing, and Om Shanti. Yes, sometime it will happen that your mind will strongly resist the breathing or Om Shanti, but it happens for a fraction of a second. And but then restart again. In the beginning, you have to stop and restart again, reset again. But gradually, we reach to that state where we can continue the journey. We recognize, we dissolve the resistance, and stop it. Check the flow of the breath. Check the flow of the breath and the changes that you have been experiencing, maybe an emptiness, blankness, and in that state, you see, we are transitioning from one step to the other in a natural way. And now Om Shanti on the 16 segments of the fingers. And it does not mean that your flow of the breath does not remain equal. It remains equal while dropping the Om Shanti. So you may become aware of that also. But just repeating that it's the mind's eye, it is the mind's ear, it is the mind's tongue, it is the mind's touch that is working on the 16 segments. No physical activity. Physical activity means by the sense organs outside. You really can you really appreciate this principle? What the master says? Oh, it is the mind's eye. Normally, we are aware of mind's eye, but we are not aware of the mind's all the sense organ. Shanti. Your mentally, mind is saying through the mental tongue and hearing through the mental ears, touching through the mental skin. So, what happens? The prana, that prana is taken over by the mind. So the principle is what? Where the mind goes, there the prana goes, and it brings the realization. Beautiful. And now move the mind inside the cave of your heart. Visualize the equilateral triangle pointing upward. And then again, play with the awareness, moving the mind on the side of the triangle, dropping Om Shanti clockwise and anti-clockwise, and keep on watching. If the mind sinks, the moment the mind has a sinking feeling, then just the opposite happens. You are pushing the mind deep inside with singing in the cave of your heart. You see mind seemingly stops. You say Shanti, and then what is left? Nothing. Self absorption is there. And stay in that. Just be into that state. If the mind interrupts, no issue. Thought may be there, too far, and still you may be self absorbed. But if the thought distracts and disturbs, then only you can return to the triangle. Beautiful. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your awareness on the right hand, your awareness on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms, know your experiences, bring the hands down. We will share our experiences. Now, how are you, Stephen?
Thank you, sir. Great. I'm really good. I'm more and more I'm realizing the everything that goes on outside has to be looked at, perceived as they are, without without false perception, without my mind's interpretation of it. And it just goes back to the importance of realizing that that's outside and that's not me and that's not who I am. And if I could take all situations and reverse it and not look at it from the outside in and look at it from the inside out, it's a whole different story. And it helps clear up those challenges that the outside world creates on a day by day, minute by minute basis.
Yes.
I found that to be very successful. My meditation was extremely deep, um, to the point in which um, nothing was going on. There were no thoughts. There was no time limits. There was nothing. I do recall somewhere in the meditation, I felt like something pushed me and I was startled in the middle of the meditation and just ignored it, went right back into my meditation. And the other thing that I felt was a second before you started chanting Om Shanti, I had this fluttering taking place in my heart.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I noticed that. And then you, without making the next move, then you started chanting. And I was like, okay, I let that go. So thank you.
Beautiful sharing your experiences. So remember this, even if you maintain your awareness, how to summarize this inside out instead of outside inside. I don't have money, it is outside. I am at peace, it is inside. Let this peace start earning the money. there is no delusion. But now the delusion will be there because I have a craving for money. So that results into hypocrisy. I'm just trying to make you understand. That is how we have to contemplate. How are you, Brandy?
Good morning. Thank you. I'm good. I was reflecting on the collective over-identification with the body, and during the meditation, and just kind of, removing myself from that. I think in American culture, in January, it's like have a diet, dry January, all of that. And I'm just thinking about, because I think somewhere in the lesson you said something about that's the crazy part when we overly identify with the body.
Yeah. Even you pick up any of the principle. The false self is identification with the body, which says that I am the body, and then the 6 other steps start. Then I'm the husband. No, I'm not the husband. I'm single. Now you see the thought process, and that is causing the problem. So it is not being single is the problem. It is being lonely is the problem. So being lonely, how it comes? Because of the delusion. Everyone is alone. Everyone comes at one time. Everyone has to go at one time. Why to worry about it? How are you, David and Jerry?
Good morning. Thank you. My experience was very similar to Stephen's. It was during the meditation I realized, and it was right after the breathing, because I said to myself, how long was that fast breathing?
9 minutes.
Okay. Well, no, I started thinking about that, and then I got thinking of myself going, like, who cares how long it was? It just is, right? So I started focusing just on really accepting what is, and I think I know we allow our mind to overpower our consciousness. So really just be at peace with our consciousness and drive our life that way, and it'll be simple.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful. You see that you don't care about what is going on. But one thing I tell you, every day, if you do it for 9 minutes in the morning, or especially 1 or 2, the whole day, the brain is always full of energy and awareness. You might be feeling a sense of difference during the day. And that freshness also prevents the delusion. Beautiful. How are you, Jerry?
Sir, I'm good. Thank you. After the 16 segments, I found myself completely immersed, just a total blend. And the takeaway, the mind loved your analogy of the tiger chasing us. We don't stop and scream at the tiger. We don't blame the tiger. We don't sit and contemplate that we wish this wasn't happening. We inherently know exactly what to do. Our consciousness is the same. It's always inherently there. And we just need to trust it, know it, and live from that place.
Yes, you rightly said. You are pointing to something that we will understand in our future lessons. There is a memory of the consciousness. The memory of the consciousness has all the elements for our survival, for our peace, for our happiness. Then what is the other memory? There is a memory of the mind that we have accumulated, inherited, created. What is that? Delusion. So when the tiger is chasing, we don't say, you stop it. I cannot do it. But when the teacher says, keep on doing it, no, I cannot do it. So there's a difference between tiger and the teacher, obviously. So how are you, Barbara?
I'm very good, thank you. I was very comfortable with the breathing today. It did not seem to be long at all for me, and I was extremely absorbed into the meditation. It just felt like bliss. It was wonderful, and
Beautiful.
when I started chanting, it was beautiful. But I thought, Oh no, it's over now.
So, beautiful. You see, the age does not matter with these kind of breathing also. I have given as some reference, but I'll talk in detail. We say that there is a prana which manifests in the breathing and the mind. So in Hatha Yoga, there is one principle. Wherever the mind goes, there the energy goes. And where the energy goes, there the mind goes. So through the energy, a particular pattern, 9 minutes, we are asking the mind to follow it. Why? For the purity of the mind. So we'll talk in detail. That's a beautiful experience. Barbara, how are you, Christina?
Namaste. I have a question. Is grief, the grief and sadness we feel when someone passes and dies, is that because of our attachment?
Identification with the body. Identification of the body. Hundreds are killed in a war. We don't have a grief. So the near and the dear ones, we have an identification. So when that identification event takes place very near to us or dear to us, and then the intellectual paralysis takes place, and there is a sense of emotional dependence which causes the grief. Can you define grief minus emotional dependence, minus intellectual paralysis? Answer is no. I rub my finger, I rub my hand. Science says the 50,000 cells have already died and replaced by the new cells. I don't have a grief. Every day, millions of the cells die. They renew itself. So we have a false notion that this body should continue, which is not going to continue. How are you, Terry?
The fast breathing, wasn't it very short? Like 2 minutes?
Ah,
Uh,
short, yeah. Chest breathing was 3 minutes, and the longer breath was 9 minutes.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I was, and also I have a question. Okay. Could you, like the japa,
Yeah,
moving the prana on the finger,
yeah.
could you do that on any body part?
Yeah.
You could.
You see, one of the most fascinating thing about you, and this is one everyone to notice, the consciousness inside. It is only one inside me, you, Terry, Stephen, David, Jerry. That consciousness is always healthy. So when it manifests through the body and the mind, the Terry finds difficulty. Do you see that? Can you see that clearly?
uh, well, I
That
understand.
this is always independent.
Yeah,
And that is what the real self is.
yeah, I believe that.
You need not to believe, you see that. You are doing that. You are living into that.
Um,
Yes, you are living into that. How are you, Dennis?
Thank you. While you were talking, another definition of discernment came to my mind, like it is an ability to separate experience from the interpretation of that experience by the mind.
Beautiful.
Like how we need to see where the perception part in the experience that comes from the sense organs and where is that overlay by the mind that is caused by what we like or dislike that distorts this this perception, and this is where the discernment takes place, when we're
Beautiful.
able to separate. As far as the meditation, the breathing was so seamless. I thought the fast part was only like 2 or 3 minutes. I would
Oh,
never tell that it was for 9 minutes.
beautiful.
At the end, it was a deeper experience, and it was like a no time experience, I could say. The mind was ready to stay in that state for like indefinitely.
Beautiful. When the mind is absorbed and it wanted to stay indefinitely, it has dissolved inside and it has led to a new level of experience and awareness. The first part you said, the beauty of the Eastern wisdom is that I told you there are 3,000 texts, and then there are major texts. If I say there are 300, and one text has sometimes more than 10 or 15 commentaries. So all those, if you count all those texts, it goes to more than 10,000. Why I said so? What Dennis is explaining is also explained by one master, but in a different way. I look at you, just looking at you, without giving any interpretation of the mind. This is known as perception. Now I look by coloring my perception, that is projection. So when I see with the perception, and I see with the perception plus projection. You get it? So perception plus projection causes the delusion. But there is only a perception, there is no problem. I believe you all got it. Very good. Thank you, Dennis. How are you, Vaibhav?
Thank you, sir. Some practice is good. It was like that. This I'm taking a pause from myself and seeing that a thought is coming is one thing, and what I'm interpreting of that thought is another thing.
Yeah.
And can I be free from what is coming? So I can always be free what is coming, and then remain calm and peaceful.
Another way to present it so beautifully, the way Dennis has presented and the way you all have presented, yeah, including the Stephen. You see, the expressions are different, but the principle is the same. What a beautiful way. If you start thinking like this, oh, the thought is coming, okay, thought has come, I'm aware. Now my crazy mind has given a different interpretation. That is another way. Oh, so now these two are separate from me. I don't see the separation. I don't have any means. Simple statement. Now interpretation goes to the mind. That is why I am so. You can add. I don't want to add because you see that. And we need only an awareness. Beautiful, beautiful. Vaibhav is a good way. And how are you, Sangeeta?
सर बहुत पीसफुल था। और सर कई बार ना दिन में हम नॉन सीकर भी हो जाते हैं।
हाँ. Yes?
तो वहां पर हमें अवेयर हो जाते हैं कि नहीं यहाँ गलत हो रहा है, तो थोड़ी देर के लिए वो भाव भी रहता है कि नॉन सीकर है।
She is pointing to a wonderful thing. You see that, can you say that I am teaching? No, I'm teaching from your own from your experiences. So she says that during the day we become a non-seeker. And it is a fact, it is natural. During day, when we are interacting with the people, we are find different situations and we lose that awareness and we are a non-seeker. Those are the right moments. I have to return to it. That is why the consistent listening and learning, contemplation and reflection works. How it will work? The moment you become a non-seeker and the mind returns, no, I have to be a seeker. And then you will remember any of these 7 plus 5 plus 4. That is what happens. That is all. Thank you very much for attending, and then we will meet again and